Death. This all has to stop now.
It has stopped, but they will be back. We are never far away. I am creation's shadow. You cannot destroy me. That would destroy the world. Good day, gentlemen.
Hi, welcome to Moments with Mimi, and today we're going to talk about the last horseman, death. As you can tell from the clip, there's no story of life without death, and that is what that was referring to. Now, death is a horseman if you look at the world objectively. No one really knows what happens, and so it's an uncertainty. And where there's uncertainty in objective man, there is fear and doubt. And they don't know what's going to happen, and objective man just wants to know everything. Thank you very much. I want to know what it is. So it scares people. But the only ones that experience death are the ones that are left behind. They're the ones doing the funeral. They're the ones, you know, getting the family together. And they're the ones that, you know, sit around and respond to the death. Now, when you actually die, you step into another body that's already been made for you, and you continue your journey. So, you know, there's no death for you, and you don't know you died. You just, you know, it's just seamless. But the way objective man looks at it is, oh, we gotta cry, beat our chest, rip this, because something has left our consciousness. This person that we were conscious of, that we thought, you know, this of, is no longer here. And so to keep them alive, you tell the story of them. And that is the wrath of God. So that is really what they're scared of. Because the wrath of God is to take your attention, your love, away and not allow it anymore. No, I'm not. No. So it's on the objectives. A horseman is an objective side fear. It's a fear everyone has, and everyone's sold themselves this. So, and it's, you know, understandable because this person is no longer here in that body that you were aware of. They're here. I'll be back. And you are. And that's why we laughed at the Terminator when he said, I'll be back. It's funny what we laugh at. Scientists don't know. But, you know, 99.9% of the time, it's because deep down inside, we know. And so then objective man is afraid of death because it's uncertainty. Well, the 12 laws are certainty, and when you look at the subjective side, then everything is sure and certain. It projects itself into the objective world, you know, death. And all that means is this story is continuing on somewhere else, and you are no longer aware of this person who's been saying what they're saying. And that doesn't mean they're dead. You can go into your imagination and pull them out of your imagination, as one of Neville's students did. If you're crazy with grief, you can go imagine them back. And that's what Louise, one of Neville's students, did. I know another lady whose son recently died, and she did the same thing. Had a nice long talk with him, and it made her feel better. So it's, you know, it's more about you and what you're feeling, because they're no longer here in that body that you were aware of. You don't know when you see it objectively that they are here. You just don't know which body they're walking around in. And more than likely, the body they're walking around in looks, a lot like the one they just left. Good example of that is people have started to notice that, look, this celebrity looks like this person in this picture from the 1700s and this person from the 1800s and this, yeah, uh-huh. And that's what we're coming to understand. So there is no death in the sense of a physical, consciousness doesn't die. It just doesn't die. And once you're a human being made out of consciousness, you remain a human being. You will just keep being the human being. Just like a flower will keep being the flower. You think the flower died, but it's not dead. It's alive. It's alive somewhere else. You can't destroy energy. You can't. You can change it, but you can't destroy it. So death is an objective man fear. All of them are. Illness, pestilence, lack of, and death. These are the big four fears of man that basically are Goliath. And David slays Goliath. You slay these giants. So that is really what the horseman of death is. The law of death, as you know, if you've watched that video or read my book or blogs, then you know that the law of death is you have to learn to die, and you learn to die to the old and take on the new. And people do it all the time. That's what you're doing here. So, for example, you are an alcoholic and you get sick of it. Well, I'm not going to be an alcoholic anymore. And now you're not. So you're seeing both sides of that. And generally what happens is it's taken too far on the one side. I don't like being a drunk. Okay, I'm not going to be a drunk. And now you go to this other side, and you go to Alcoholics Anonymous, for example, to help you stop. And what do they tell you to do? To stand up and say, I'm Joe, and I'm a recovering alcoholic. You're calling yourself an alcoholic, and you get sick of that eventually too. And then it's just like, you know what? It doesn't do anything, and I don't care. I really don't care. I can drink with them if I want, and I like the plum wine, so I think I'll drink some of that. Or I like a nice glass of whiskey, so I think I'll have some of that. It tastes delicious, and I love it. But yeah, you're not going there. Not going to extreme land. And that's what man does. He goes to one extreme to another. And literally, you have to wallow in one side of a belief, the good, and then go wallow in the bad side, the bad, and to discover that it just is. I don't care anymore. So the way these things work out is like, let's say you abhor anyone who wears Confederate flags, who has a Confederate flag, in their home, is flying it in their backyard, who wears it on their t-shirt, who's got it on their hat. That's slavery. No, that was objective man branding it that so you would hate that. Okay? And what's it matter if you're a slave with chains or if you're a slave of debt? I mean, it's still slavery. So you've enslaved yourself. And these are the things that need to die. So you use the law of death to kill these beliefs off. And that's how you determine how to deal with these four big horsemen. And what you deal with it is it just is. There is no death. There's only life. There is no pestilence. It's just a bug. It's no illness. It's just bacteria. There's no lack of. There's plenty for all. I see it all around me. So it's how you're going to take it, and depending on where you are in your journey determines, what you have to deal with. So the horseman itself is just the uncertainty of physical death and what happens afterwards. But once you come to these laws, you know what happens afterwards. You step into another body and head off. And we all know this deep down inside, or you wouldn't have shows like Doctor Who, where the guy literally dies, the old doctor dies, is conscious for a moment, and then he becomes the new doctor. This is a manifestation of that. And that's been that drumbeat beaten for over 50 years. So it's that. It's nothing to be afraid of. It's something to defeat. It's like the Hobbit and the Nazguls. You defeat them. You have no power over me. And move on. I know this is a short one. I hope it helps. I'm going to throw this funny little clip up that, I think is hysterical. And blessings to you. And thank you for being here.
You're not my dad!
What did you say?
You can do it! Say it, Adam! Say it again!
Come here!
You're not my dad. You never were.